Hey there, it's John. How are you doing? I'm just out for a walk in the woods next to the house. Just looking after body and soul and mind and heart, emotions and all that sort of thing. And yeah, I don't know how long the battery will last because the phone's really down and I'm just filming this on my phone. And yeah, I just felt the need to kind of come out and get a bit of space, you know. Because, you know, we always assume that everybody's going to be all right all the time sort of thing. And yesterday, you know, just with the being cut off sort of situation at the moment, you know, I just had such a horrid day, just an absolute sod of a day. And of course, being a meditation teacher and all that sort of thing, it almost feels like I'm not allowed to say that, you know, that... you know, lack of intimacy because my partner's in India and nobody else to talk to really apart from sort of, you know, people on the internet and things like that. And our town is sometimes not the most, you know, outgoing place, and particularly right now. So you kind of, you know, survive on little chats in the woods or on the street if you bump into somebody. And yeah, so we just need to really start taking care of ourselves. I kind of think that's why I wanted to make this video, really, just to, you know, remind myself as much as anything else that actually the thing to do in any difficult time is to look after your health, look after your body, look after your mind, look after your heart. Self-care, we used to call it. Now we just call it staying alive, you know, but it's an absolute essential. It's not an optional thing at all. It's not narcissistic or anything like that to really look after yourself, and then, you know, you might be able to be available for others. So, you know, it seems to me that there are 4 areas where we can you know, kind of look at for ourselves, where we can take care, and the same when probably looking, you know, towards helping somebody else as well. And you know, all these are rooted in love if it's the self, and then if that's moving out towards somebody else, we could call that compassion if there's sort of difficulty and pain in the other person, or love if it's a resonant thing, you know, and or somebody closer to us. And the 4 areas I was thinking about this morning is that first, we take care of our sort of food and our intakes that way, our diet to build our health. And that can be, you know, making sure we get enough water, we stay hydrated, that, you know, we eat kind of fruits and vegetables, and really build our health up. And I'm not advocating one form of eating regime over another. You know, if you're going to eat meat, make sure that it's sort of clean, grass-fed, kind of well looked after sort of stuff, not your supermarket thing if you can possibly avoid that. But whatever it is that you're doing, just do the best you can. And then of course there's diet the other way. What are you taking in? Are you taking in things that keep you adrenalized and in fear, which doesn't mean sort of cutting off from the world, but if we're just kind of got 24-hour-a-day news on, and we're kind of reading the numbers to look for the fear impulse, then that creates that kind of pain body tension, kind of hurting within us. It feels very real because of its intensity, but actually, you know, it's a good idea if you are going to look at stuff like that to make sure that you're in presence first, to kind of put some limit. You know, the thing with social media that's different from, say, reading a book or watching a movie is a movie comes to an end. Reading a book, you get to the end of the page, you turn the page. With scrolling social media and scrolling the news, it goes on forever, you know. So set yourself a little timer or something, you know. You're going to look for 10 minutes and look for the light within it as well, you know, like numbers changing, going down, or people looking after each other, ways that the community are kind of coming together, things like that. And bring your light to things as well, you know, be part of the diet of the world. Secondly, I think it's really important to look after our health and our fitness in a kind of physical way, looking after the body, because the body is where we live. And within meditation and spirituality, you get a lot of this absolutely misguided garbage about I am not the body. We're a soul, but we have to live through a body, you know, and we have beautiful tools. We have our mind, our emotions, because we're not our mind and emotions, they're our tools. So we have these tools and we have our body. And so without the vehicle of the body, there's nowhere for the mind, there's nowhere for the feelings, and the spirit cannot be moved in any kind of action at all into life. No creativity, no family, no intimacy, nothing. So really looking after the body, being out in nature, absorbing the beautiful life that trees give out, and being with the beings of the planet that are other than us, you know, and enjoying the beauty and the space, because space outside creates space inside, which means that when we do come out, we have to allow space as well. So if we come out and all we do is yabber or talk on our phone, well, you know, it's better for being out and you're getting the air, but you could avail yourselves of well, it's not silent, is it? There's just the sound of life, you know, whatever that is. And if you're lucky like me and you've got nature, although, you know, it can be a choice to have nature around you, you can choose to live in a place like this, then that's brilliant. And if you're in a city, then you find the nature that you've got, even if it's a potted plant, you know, and take care of your potted plant. Grow yourself a bit of vegetables and do whatever you can, you know. Third thing is, and these are not in a 1, 2, 3 order, they're just the way that they're coming to reflect on, is kind of really, as we're finding out right now, attending to our spiritual lives, our sacredness, which doesn't mean adopting a fake spiritual attitude. It actually means removing everything that stands in the way of our innocence, our authenticity, admitting that we don't know what we don't know, so that in order to have space so that we can learn, you know. It's very easy to pretend and lash out at everybody, or kind of keep a certain face on all the time with you know, I know what I'm doing. Whereas as you get older, you know, one of the marks, I think, of growth, of enlightening, is that you know that you don't know, but something comes that's more like a knowledge of the ground of being within us, not because we build it in any way, that is that we remove everything that stands in the way of us, knowing that it's already there. So becoming part of the one life again, regaining our innocence, rather than living in those cut off and distant places that we often live through. And yeah, there was a fourth one and it's completely gone out of my head. What was the fourth thing? I would say being, through these actions, a healthy cell in the body of the world. And you've heard me say that before, but without that in place, how can we be a healthy cell in the body of the world? And so allowing ourselves to be part of the world. There are times, you know, and might be the right thing for us to be away from things, in retreat, going deeper, just having to watch my footing a bit. But there's also times that we have to test that practice out. We have to test out things, and actually, you know, if you have been practicing a while and this time is overwhelming, well, it is kind of an overwhelming time with the things that are kind of going on and the situation as it is. But that's when we get to really kind of get clear about things. So look after our bodies, yoga, walking, exercise, drinking water, and so on, our diet. It all overlaps, doesn't it, you know? And building our health, which of course is a great part of our resilience, and or even admitting that we don't know how to do that, so that we can learn, you know. And that's the spiritual path, through the body, through life, through the everydayness of who we are. And amazingly, we find our uniqueness within that. Anyway, I'm just going to carry on with my walk. I just came out to see some signs of life. and met a couple of people. Really funny thing, I'm in the middle of the woods. It's whatever, the 31st of March 2020, and somebody goes, two people walking through the woods coming the other way, goes, "Oh, you're that poet who wrote those poems." So, even after all these years, and I don't even really do that so much anymore, it's quite odd, occasionally you get recognised, and that's a funny thing. And it's interesting because while I don't write so much sort of poetry these days, I'm busy writing courses and teaching my classes, and I do keep my journal, and strangely, there could be some sort of poetic offering sort of in the not too far distant future when the world comes back online, more of a gathering of things from across sort of the last sort of 10 years or so, and I still enjoy reading poetry. I read a poem every morning out loud to myself. I was reading a poem called The Wild Rose by Wendell Berry this morning that I shared on my Instagram and my social media, so feel free to have a look over there and follow if you would like to. Anyway, lots of love. I'm going to love you and leave you to get on with your day. Take care of yourself.